My name is Katherine Strause. I've been a painter for, I think, like 40 years, 35 years, and I paint feminist art about women with strength, and maybe they're very, very good at one activity or one thing. So this was a painting I did in 2024, so this year, finished it for a show in Fort Smith in January. This is called Rose of Cimarron, and she was a real outlaw. And I was attracted to these women of the Old West that were either outlaws, really strong women. There's a painting of Belle Starr here in the show, but also women who were horse riders, ropers, shooters, archers, that were really good at a activity. But so she sat for quite a while, unfinished. She actually is probably one of my favorites, but I had to really just let her kind of paint herself, not overdo it. That's part of the issue with making work, is overdoing it, just beating it up. So it's still pretty fresh. I do like the marks that are supposed to be indicating a kind of chair. Her ear, that's a very quick reference. Is so sweet, and you get to see the way our brains will fill things in just with the outline of her hair, just a very different, barely different texture between the hat and the hair. So, and you just try to hope for those moments and then don't wipe them off. Well, initially, it used to be found photographs, actual physically found photographs. Now I find images on the web, but it's always an image of a woman with a twinkle in her eye or strength and power. She's in her element. So that is what I find interesting in the image, and then I paint from those images. So usually they're snapshots. I want them to be original and not really from any kind of art. I just want it to be a casual snapshot. And I think, with this series, these women that were ranchers and outlaws, they were taking care of themselves in a man's world, and women are always taking care of themselves in a man's world. This is a great example of that. But even my older series were always about women in the act of being themselves, being in their strength, and in their, whatever it is they're good at. I learned to paint when I was in undergraduate school. I had always used oil paint. It's very, very flexible. The way that it mixes together is really important. I start almost all my paintings with a very warm orange background, and this is a great example here. And then I paint over it, so you have that orange background showing through and unifying the whole piece. I think this work has sort of a different approach in the painterliness of it. You're always kind of growing no matter what, even if you're trying not to. And so every painting is a brand new experience, brand new test, really, and then you just try your best to solve the issue, solve the puzzle or the problem, but you're probably going to do it differently every time. You'll keep developing. So color is very important in all my work. Design, 2D design elements and principles are very, very important in my work. So those are the things that I constantly go back to answer questions on how to resolve a problem like a sky or clothing or whatever it is. So a lot of looking at the image, and then a lot of figuring out how you're going to approach the work through design, through the theory of design. I think Fierce Women, I think that what's been fun is this, I posted most of these images on social media. Now I have friends sending me images they have found of women, and then, they'll say Fierce Woman. So it's like, hey, you should paint her. One was a bookmobile driver, and she was very cool looking. It was a vintage, maybe 60s photograph. So yeah, they all have this feeling of being in control of their lives, themselves. They are the most important person in the painting, as well as like in their existence. They're not really existing for other people. This as a group can talk about really women can do hard things. Women don't need to have necessarily a man next to them or a man in the situation with them. So, and it's not really negative male, it's just being a female and knowing what it's like to feel good about yourself, feel good about the things you do, and feel like a master at something. But yeah, it looks good. You should come look at these. If you want to paint, these are really great paintings to look at, to see process, because I think I show the process of the paint a lot. It's not about trying to trick you're tricking the viewer to think they're looking at an object, but I'm also showing you every brush stroke. Nothing's really hidden that way. And what that's all about is the gestalt of us always wanting to recognize a shape as something. So it doesn't take very much information for the viewer to be like, she's pointing a gun at me, or that's a horse. I taught college for 30 years, and the thing is you just have to do it a lot. You can't do a painting a month and learn very much. So you think of it as if you were learning to play an instrument. So you know how long it's going to take for you to get to a level that you might actually like. So there's a lot of practice involved. The more you create, the more all of the pieces begin to support each other. So maybe one piece alone may not be the best. Two pieces of the same subject matter, gonna be better. 6 of the same subject matter, maybe the skill isn't so great, but your theme is good. And again, the more that you paint, the better it's going to be. You'll have more things figured out. The good news is you will never master it in the way, or at least not for me, where you go in and it's completely carefree, because you're constantly like a writer reworking passages, trying to get things to work, thinking about color theory, thinking about directional lines in a painting and other things like that. So it's a puzzle. I love this gallery too. I've always wanted to show here, and this has ended up being a perfect opportunity, seriously. So I am on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm Katherine Strause, so it's pretty easy to find. I also have a website that's katherinestrause.com. So, yeah.